Welcome to the Cyber Funnel Podcast, brought to you by Amplifyed, where we feature the top minds in cybersecurity.
Welcome to the Cyber Funnel Podcast, where you can hear from the top minds in cybersecurity. I'm your host, Thorne Compton, and today I have the honor of welcoming the head honcho himself, Scott Johnson, president and founder of Amplified. How are you today, Scott?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It is a complete honor, and I'm not just saying that because you pay my bill. Before we get started, a reminder that this episode is brought to you by Amplified, the SEO and GEO agency for cybersecurity companies. Amplified serves cybersecurity marketing teams by driving more leads from Google and AI search. We handle all the heavy lifting and know the exact levers to pull to get you more SQLs. Learn more about... tongue tie there. Learn more at amplifyed.io. That's amplifyed.io. All right. Like I said, I've got Scott Johnson, president and founder of Amplified, joining me today in the Cyber Funnel. And we're talking one of our favorite topics, and that is cybersecurity SEO and GEO.
Let's do it.
This is where we would insert air horns, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to go ba. Oh, man. So, hey, I'm going to start at the beginning today, Scott. Talk to me about how you got into SEO marketing. Obviously, it wasn't GEO marketing back then because that didn't exist. And then the niche down into cybersecurity.
Yeah. So my mom actually used to own an agency, and they did all kinds of stuff. They did newsletters, websites, email campaigns, Google ads, kind of whatever the client wanted. And when she exited the business around, I believe, 2012, she sold everything except the SEO. So she carved out all the other services and sold those and kept the SEO. And I asked her, why'd you do that? And she's like, because SEO is fun. The clients stick around. The meetings are fun. And that just always kind of landed on me. So when I was, getting ready to start an agency, I'm like, well, I'll do SEO too then.
As I had a similar thing whenever I came over from journalism. I was like, well, SEO seems fun and I know how to write, so we're going to do that. And hey, that's the fun thing there. Now, what's also fun is cybersecurity. I mean, to some people, I think cybersecurity is fun.
Yeah. So getting into cybersecurity was kind of by accident. I'm sure that's the case with most folks in cybersecurity. But, at this point, we had maybe 20 clients or something like that about 5 years ago. And our best ones were maybe 3 cybersecurity companies. And I loved working with them. First of all, they believed in SEO. We did a lot of industrial clients before that, manufacturing. And first you had to convince them, first you had to explain what SEO was. Then you had to convince them they need it, in which they'd inevitably respond, oh, well, we're in a relationship business. And you're like, but yes, this will get you more relationships. Then you had to convince them you're the guy to do it. And it was always just a challenge getting over that hump, where even 5 years ago, all the cybersecurity folks, they know they need it and they believe in it. They're just trying to figure out the right partner for it. So we started doing that. They started sending referrals. And I just kept thinking, man, I would rather have one good cyber client than 5 miscellaneous other clients. And then we kind of, took a big gulp and said, you know what, screw it. We're going all in on cyber, updated all our branding, started Amplified, and the rest is history. You
mentioned earlier that it's so nice talking with cybersecurity people because they understand what we do. What kind of an advantage does that give us? Does that give Amplified to be able to speak the language of cybersecurity professionals as well?
Yeah, and that was actually one of the things that drew my interest early on, just from a business person perspective, is that I remember meeting with the cyber clients, and they would say, it's going to take you about 3 months to really begin to understand what we do. There's a lot of new terminology, understanding, what a CISO is, how they think, what they care about. We have a long sales cycle typically. And I remember thinking as a business person, that sounds like a fantastic moat. They're not looking to swap agencies willy-nilly when there's, if there's ever an off month or whatever it may be. So understanding the language early means we could come in and speak their language from the jump rather than spend 3 months on their dime trying to figure out what the heck they're doing. We know zero trust, SIM, CISOs, all these things. I don't want to pretend like we're experts in those things, but our starting point is much higher than someone that's never worked with cybersecurity before.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more on there. And hey, on that note, let's talk about some like actual tips. We work in SEO with cybersecurity. We do this with a lot of people. What would you say are some like top things you like to recommend to cybersecurity companies whenever they're kind of starting to dip their foot into actually increasing their web traffic?
Yeah, where to begin? There's so many things.
So many.
So let me start with conversions, actually. I know it's not SEO, but oftentimes that's a lever to pull to almost double leads in like weeks, not months kind of thing for cybersecurity. So the first thing is, especially if you're in a saturated market for cybersecurity. So right now, maybe agentic AI, there's a lot of agentic AI cybersecurity security, kind of stuff, is differentiate. So if your homepage, your messaging is agentic AI security or secure your AI, you're going to sound like 20 other brands. So it's really hard to stand out. So what I typically do if I'm meeting, let's just say it's with the CMO, is I'll open with, tell me what you guys do and how you're different.
Yeah.
And they'll give this impassioned, speech with language. And then I'll say, none of that is on your website. So the way you guys naturally describe what you do and how you're different, that has to be reflected in the copy, and you'll see your conversions go up. So that's the first one. The messaging just has to be nailed.
How how important quickly is personas, like actually knowing who you're talking to when developing that messaging?
Yeah, I mean, critical. I could tell obviously by the question. But are you selling to CISOs? Is it a security architect? Are they highly technical, or is that the user? You want to understand the buyer's persona, not the user's persona, and address it accordingly. So if it's a security architect, your content better be technical. It better not be what is an MCP server and how do I secure it. You should be getting in the weeds and things like that, and vice versa.
Absolutely. Let's talk about content, like actually developing it. Who are we writing for?
Um, do you mean like, are we writing for the buyers or?
Do you write for the buy? Writing for the human, I believe, is who you want to go for there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, certainly. So it's not keyword stuffing and things like that. I mean, AI is so much better at understanding if you're writing in natural language and for humans versus I'm going to put agentic AI security 10 times on this page and I'm going to rank. So that particularly plays in with FAQ. Like, do you integrate with Salesforce? Yes, we integrate with Salesforce. Don't do this, 3 sentence long verbose question that no one's ever asking. So that's critical. Going back to the conversion thing, another thing that's very important that I think is lacking on many cybersecurity websites is a strong call to action. So it should stand out. Your designers will hate it, but it needs to clash with the rest of the design. If the rest of your site is blue and white, your CTA, demo request, or whatever it is, make it orange, make it red. It should draw in the eye like a bullseye. We've seen that happen, and conversions go from 1.5 to 3. And you could play with the verbiage too. There's nothing wrong with playing it safe, like demo request. That's good enough, but avoid contact us. But the more descriptive is typically better. Talk to an expert, see how it works. Things like that work really well too.
Where should those buttons be? Is it okay to just have like one in the top right?
Yeah, so definitely sticky it on the top right. And especially you want to make sure when you scroll, it stays there. But I'm of the opinion, and you can't ask for the sale enough. You want to avoid sliders and wild pop-ups and kind of, the 2010 kind of style of CTA, but try it regularly. And the longer and more complex your sales cycle, the more you want to have different hooks. So if you're selling something that's a minimum 1 year and it's 100K, it's fine to say get a demo, but you also want some softer sells. Maybe watch a demo and they just put in their email address. Maybe sign up for the 2026 buyer's guide to email security or whatever it may be. Sometimes you need the softer lead magnets for the higher ticket sales.
Now, some people might be sitting here listening and going, wait, we're talking about button colors. We're talking about placement of buttons. What does that have to do with SEO? What does that have to do with our content? What does that have to do with SEO and your content?
Yeah, good question. So the fact is, if we increase traffic, let's just say 40%, and you don't get more leads, you didn't get ROI from this service. So even though our SEO drove, let's just say it's high buyer's intent searches, it's not top of funnel, what is email security type of stuff. But let's say it's phishing prevention platform, like high buyers, and they're not converting, we're not going to look good. You're not going to make money. And these CTAs and messaging fine tuning, they're quick fixes. Like you could do that same day in many cases, and oftentimes it's a snowballing effect if we increase traffic and increase conversions.
A lot of cybersecurity sites tend to have a lot of content, and a lot of content, a lot of different pages. Uh, is it advantageous at all to take advantage of that, or do you just completely have to make new content?
Depends if the content's any good. If it sucks, might need to prune some because by removing it, you're helping something called the crawl budget. So let's say you have 1,000 pages with no traffic. Google's not going to crawl those all the time. It's going to crawl them some and not all of them. And let's say you have stuff, maybe you have some content on, COVID or whatever it may be. Prune the old stuff and you really just want your best content left. And then what you do, let's say you have you have a good article that doesn't have traffic yet, go in and refresh that, optimize it. Or sometimes in those cases, Thorne, where clients have like 500 pieces of content, a lot of times it's thin. If it's 7 paragraphs, Google and AI, they want meatier content. Maybe you can combine 5 similar pieces into one fantastic. So what you're alluding to is spot on. Existing content is generally one of the quickest wins we can get because it's so much easier than writing new stuff.
When you're adding on to that stuff, do you have to keep AI and is there a way to like combine the two of those?
Yeah. So you mean like combine articles or what do you
No,
mean?
no, no. To you're lifting on the SEO side. You're optimizing your remaining content. Can you also optimize it for AI at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, often it'll happen simultaneously. So, but there are definitely some GEO tricks of the trade for sure. Which, by the way, is the number one thing cybersecurity companies care about right now, at least in the marketing realm. Like every conversation we have, GEO, 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 GEO. So, yeah, there's definitely some tricks. So, number one, first of all, on a technical side, make sure your site is being crawled by AI. It's hard to explain in a podcast, but if you go to robots.txt, make sure there isn't a blocker for ChatGPT, Claude, etc. There typically won't be, but sometimes, let's say you launch a new site, those blockers are in dev and they carry over to production. So just start there. If you're getting 0 leads from AI, just make sure there isn't a technical issue. But beyond that, things like adding FAQ, and again, with that human language, like you talked about, then adding FAQ schema. AI loves that. In fact, adding FAQ with schema increases the likelihood of AI placement by 37%, according to some article I read. So that's another trick too.
I there's a little part of me that wants to make sure we have like a little noise that happens, like maybe like Pee Wee Herman's Pee Wee Playhouse, the sound of the day whenever anyone mentions schema, because that's the real big ticket right now. Can you explain schema just a little bit?
Yeah, and it's funny. Schema's been around a long time, but it's like it's as my daughter would say, having a glow up. It's like completely had this second, sort of like QR codes were ever during COVID, they disappeared. Now they're everywhere again. Uh, it's always been there. Historically, it was to tell Google the type of content is on a page. Is it a local page? Is it software? Is it FAQ? Is it a blog, etc.? And not only does that help Google crawl it better by understanding it instantly, but also controls how it shows up in the Google search results. Now, just in the last month, actually, Google's kind of said they're not paying attention to schema as much. The jury's out because sometimes they say things and everything stays the same. But without a doubt, it helps with AI. There's just no question. And the fact is, it's quick. It's not this heavy lift. So why not?
We're going to have a whole podcast about Google conspiracy theories later. But let's continue on. Let's talk about backlinks.
Yeah. So backlinks is when another site links to yours. And content gives authority two different ways to, let's just say AI for now. One, it's the caliber of the content. Is it well written? Is there an author? Is there a bio where we're conveying authority and someone's kind of attaching their reputation to this piece of content? But number two, AI very much looks at, and Google, what does the rest of the web think about your content? Do they trust it? Are authoritative and relevant sites linking to it? That is a fantastic signal.
It's funny, you had a little bit of the Freudian slip there, but I think you also hit on a really important note there. Ultimately, while there are some nuances, would you say there is it a separate thing to optimize for AI and for SEO, or should both of those tides be lifted at the same time?
Yeah, there's a lot more overlap than people think. SEO is very much the fundamental, the foundation. It is pretty much impossible to have good GEO, AEO, whatever you want to call it, without good SEO. And the reason is that AI search is almost always pulling from page one of Google. So it's always funny when we're talking to a client or a prospective client, they're saying, we want GEO. It's like, yeah, but you have no traffic and your SEO stinks. So we have to fix this first, and then the GEO will come. But you do kind of got to get some page one rankings for AI to trust your content enough to rank it.
It's where like an FAQ is fantastic, because an FAQ is going to be natural SEO building while also serving exactly what AI wants, which is to take from you. It just wants to steal it from you and give it to someone else and maybe give you the citation. But you know what? You'd rather it be coming from you than someone else, you know?
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing about AI. I mean, it's really flipped the whole internet on its head. I mean, setting aside the million other fantastic uses for AI, I mean, they're essentially taking content in more often than not even giving credit and just sharing stuff that someone else put their time and energy into. It's kind of this thing like, I don't know, it kind of feels a little dirty. Like, I think the author should be getting credit. Yes, they'll cite them sometimes, but the content game has changed. There's no doubt about it.
I couldn't agree more, but hey, you know, they are getting better about the citation, and that's the important part, is at least being in there, especially with like an AI overview for Google. Now, what AI also does a great job of is kind of servicing you where you meet, where you live. You tell it that, hey, I am a healthcare professional and I'm worried about HIPAA compliance. What are some great cybersecurity solutions for me? So talk to me about the role of like both compliance and like industry when it comes to building out content for cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's usually the quickest wins for faster lead gen for GEO. So a typical Google search is 2 to 3 words. A typical AI search is 2 sentences and highly specific, like you mentioned. And they do typically self-filter, like I'm in this industry. They must know this industry, even though the platforms are typically industry agnostic. So building out those industry pages for, just think of who your best customers are. Are they manufacturing, fintech, et cetera? Add those to your site so AI thinks, oh, these are the fintech, whatever platform guys. And same thing with compliance. If you're helping people comply, whether it's HIPAA, SOC 2, whatever it may be, having those pages, you will get leads through them. Even if through traditional Google search, they're not getting a lot of traffic, you will get some leads.
Especially as you go, you know, a lot of cybersecurity goes overseas. So then you got to start talking about DORA. You got to start talking about all the things that fit into there. Yeah, compliance is a key. Now, okay, we've talked a lot about how to actually make it better. How do you know you have a janky SEO?
Yeah, so there's a few triggers. I mean, first of all, if you're not getting organic leads, and your attribution needs to be set up. Whether it's your GA4 that's saying they came through organic or paid or whatever, whether it's your CRM that's tracking that, or different trackers on the site, maybe your sales rep or even your demo form asks where they found you. But you got to start with attribution. I was meeting with someone a couple of weeks ago. They said, no, we actually get a handful of really good enterprise leads per month through SEO. And I was looking at their site and I'm like, I highly doubt it, because you guys have no traffic. So if they come through your site, but they're searching your company name, that is not an SEO lead. That is someone, they found you elsewhere and now they're finding you now. So starts with attribution.
When you're looking at where things are coming into, like where organic traffic is coming into, are there any like monikers that you can see, like, hey, I'm getting traffic, but is it possible that they could be going to the wrong pages?
Yeah. So if all the traffic is going to top of funnel stuff, what is Active Directory or whatever it may be, you may be getting traffic. It's probably not converting. I'm not saying those pages are bad, but if all your traffic is top of funnel, you're probably not getting leads. So you want to start when it comes to SEO and GEO closest to the money. So look at your top three product or feature pages. If they're not getting traffic, there's a lot of opportunity to grow. And that's where you need to focus on first.
Absolutely. So, all right. So we're taking a look and we're going, I have no traffic. Clearly, you have an SEO problem. I have traffic, but they're going to the wrong pages. Clearly, an SEO problem. Maybe you've got them going to the right pages. Is there any risk, maybe, of having too many authority blogs or anything like that?
I think as long as they're not cannibalizing and competing with each other, and that kind of begs the question, well, how do I know? If there's a certain keyword, and let's say you have multiple pieces of content on page two or three of Google, they're probably fighting with each other, and maybe they should be combined. So, but topical depth is very important. That's kind of the dance of what we have to do. So rather than maybe have three pages on Active Directory security, or let's just say email security, maybe have email security platform, Gmail security, Outlook security, uh, malware prevention, blah, 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 and hit that same topic from 10 different angles, but not the same each time, or else you kind of end up fighting with yourself for that ranking.
Is there anything around linking that can maybe lead to an issue, specifically around internal linking? It seems to be a problem sometimes where the pages aren't talking to each other enough.
Yeah, internal linking is so important, and again, it's one of those easy things to fix. So it's kind of when we're working with a client, it's typically like a week one sort of thing, and that just it does two things. A, it conveys to Google and AI how the pages relate to each other. Like this email security page links to this Gmail security page. They're finding that connection helps better understand what you do. So you want to start with that. I lost my train of thought for the second thing.
I hate when that
But
happens.
yeah, we're only human. But
We
yeah,
are.
it definitely helps with that. So I
Absolutely.
know. On a user experience perspective, you want internal linking to nudge people along in your funnel. So if
Yes.
they start at what is email security, then you start linking to the product and service pages, and you're sort of nudging them further down the funnel and ideally to take an action.
And we love talking about funnels here on the Cyber Funnel podcast. We're
Heyo,
going to do a hard pivot now, and it's time for the lightning round, Scott Johnson. We are
I'm
done
ready.
talking about all the technical stuff, and we're going to get to know you a little bit more. Um, what was the last book you read?
Last book I read was on Napoleon, thousand pager on Napoleon. So I'm a history buff. Right now it's Peter the Great, 1700 in Russia. I've done tons and tons of American history, and right now I'm going through, rulers from around the world.
Do you have a favorite time period you'd like to study?
Anything around Abraham Lincoln. So I don't, as far as the Civil War, I don't enjoy like the battles and stuff like that as much. It's just kind of depressing because it was just a grotesque affair. But I really enjoy like the politics and things like that around, Lincoln, or it could be Jefferson, George Washington. I love all that.
If you ever have a chance to visit Quincy, Illinois, the middle of their town square there, they have a big deal about where they had one of the Lincoln Davis debates. Was it Davis? I can't remember. One of the big debates that they had there in Illinois whenever when Lincoln was. You should check that out.
Oh,
Um,
I'd love to see it.
it's fantastic. What'd you want to be when you grew up, Scott?
What did I want to be?
What'd you want to be?
I always wanted to be a mayor. I always wanted to like help run like a smallish sort of town. In fact, in college, I started off poli sci, and the more I got into it, the more I realized it raised my blood pressure, and I actually didn't enjoy, how the soup is made as much as the thought of like, helping out a town sort of thing. Then I pivoted to finance and then law.
I love it. I was as a journalist, I wanted to start off being like a beat reporter in politics, and then I quickly moved into sports because I went, well, like, you know what? This I actually enjoy doing this. So,
Yep.
what was either your first concert you went to or your favorite concert you've been to?
Hmm. First would have been the Horde Festival in Shoreline Amphitheater, maybe like 96 or something like that. Just pure, 90s rock.
Who's the headliner? Do you remember?
I don't even remember.
Interesting.
I believe Black Crows were there, but it's been so long I don't remember. And I went with my dad, and it was just like a really great memory.
If Everclear wasn't there, I'd be disappointed. So, you have a favorite concert?
Favorite. I don't go to a ton of concerts. I wish I would have gone to more. I would say the last one I went to with my dad, which would have been maybe 8 years ago. This guy named Alvin, what was it? Alvin Gentry or something like that. He's
I love Alvin Gentry. Yeah.
California, he's actually a poet first and foremost. But great music, rocking. It was the last show I went to with my dad, and my brother was there, and it's like one of those super small dive bar-y venues where you're like right there looking up at him, and you feel the music in your bones. It was like really cool.
That's the intimate setting is the best there.
Yeah.
Well,
Dave Alvin, not Alvin Jr., Dave Alvin.
Oh, Dave Alvin's also good too. The preferred, speaking of destinations, and locations, if you had to go on vacation and go right now, where are you going? You going to the beach? You going to the mountains? Staycation? What are you doing?
If we have time, Tuscany. Tuscany is my happy place. So we do group vacations, which I really like. So like last summer, it was us, my brother's family, and a friend's family. So we're like 12 deep and just rented out like this sprawling estate in Tuscany, which split 3 ways was like cheaper than us all getting hotels. Big old pool, rolling countrysides. I mean, the bugs will eat you alive, but it was like just a magical experience.
I love that. Not even Italy, specifically Tuscany. That's fantastic.
Yes. There's a big difference between Tuscany and say, Rome or Sicily. Nothing against them, but like Tuscany is its own thing.
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's a big old long country, and you can go from the beach to the mountains. It's kind of like California, but a country. So, hey, Scott, I really, really appreciate you joining me today. I actually have one last question. And before I ask it, though, I want to point everyone back to your website, the website that's the host of this podcast, and that is www.amplifyed, amplifyed.io. My last question for you is, what actually moves the needle when you're talking about GEO and SEO optimization for cybersecurity?
Yeah, so it depends where they're currently at. But everything comes down to content. Sometimes I say we're not in the SEO business, we're in the content business. You need to have content with keywords that people are actually searching for. That's high quality content. And it all starts there. Without that, you're cooked. So that is the heartbeat of good SEO and GEO.
Write what you know and write it for humans. I love it. We appreciate you for joining us, Scott. I appreciate everything there. Tell people here where they can find you.
Yeah, go to that website you mentioned, amplified.io, and happy to chat with you guys. Like, I like talking about this stuff. It doesn't have to be a sales capacity. Happy to share where you guys are at in AI search compared to your competitors, give some quick tips, and reach out anytime. I'm on LinkedIn too.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you for listening to the CyberFunnel Podcast. Tune in next time for more tips and insights, and be sure to click subscribe for future episode updates.